We talked about the building blocks. Now we want to talk about how we use them. So we're going to talk about why investing is important, and what is not up there is why investing is important now. And as I said in my opening comments, this is really a call to action. And I've got an example of why this is a call to action right now in your young investment future. We like to look at, there are two components. They're saving and they're investing. Here are just a few examples of the components of saving. We want to save through your workplace retirement plan. That's number one. We were talking with an investor yesterday about their child who was 22 years old, just coming out of college, and setting up an investment plan through their 401k. And how does that work? Has anyone had a 401k here before? A few people? So 401k is essentially where you automatically invest through your company. You commit to saying, I'm going to take 5% of my paycheck every month and put it into an investment plan. And they will invest on your behalf, and you have some investment choices. And what your company will do is then match that. So that's a form of forced savings. You're deducting that 5% from your paycheck, your company is matching it up to a certain degree, and then it's being invested for you, and it's done automatically. So if you're ever working for a company that has a 401k plan, it's a great way, and we'll get into this more in a couple weeks with retirement planning, but a great way to kind of have that forced savings and participate. So here are just a few different items where how we think about things: saving for a down payment, paying down deductible high-rate debt. That's typically not something that in terms of housing that many of you would have, but certainly student loan debt is something that I'm sure is topical in the room. So what does this look like? Why invest now? Why is it important? So this is a chart going back to 1926, and this kind of illustrates the power, and I've got a more specific example, but this illustrates the power of investing $1 now versus waiting, and what has happened over time. And when we look at the stock market, we like to look at average returns. This is a way we can look over time. What has the average return been of stocks? What has the average return been of bonds? And going all the way back to 1926. And the average return for the stock market has been about 10%. You're obviously going to have years where the returns were higher, years where they were lower. And what's a component of a return? It's just simply price movement, right? But there's also an income component too, which is another component of the return. So if you add price plus any income, that will then go into calculating your return. So for the bond market, we see that returns are a little bit lower. So we can focus on the yellow line. $1 invested in 1925 is worth $98 today. Whereas if you invested that same dollar in the stock market, in let's say small cap stocks, which is the light blue line, and we'll talk about what small cap stocks are, but just for illustrative purposes, that was the best performer. That $1 turned into 16,000. So while this looks like a long period of time, and you might be looking at your investment future and saying, well, I'm thinking about the next 5 years. I'm not, looking out 40. One of the follies that many people make is taking that short-term view. And we highly encourage everyone of any age to try to take that long-term view, because this illustrates the power of the capital markets and what they can do in terms of building your wealth and maintaining your wealth. I talked about an example of investing now versus waiting, because you might say, coming out of graduate school, saying, you know what, I don't have the job I want, I have all these different things that I want to pay for, so investing really isn't a priority for me right now. And so we looked at two people. We've got Maria and Anna. And Maria decided she wanted to start contributing to a 401k plan or start investing right away. So what Maria did was she put $3,000 a year in the first 3 years out of school, let's say. So she's got $30,000 in contributions in the first 10 years. And then we've got Anna, who said, you know what, I'm going to wait because I want to take my disposable income and I want to use it for other things, and I'll invest later because I want to do that once I have more money. So Anna's waited to year 11 and then made $3,000 a year, same type of yearly contribution, but did it for 30 years after that. So we've got Maria that's invested $30,000, and we've got Anna that waited and invested $90,000. So now what happens over time? When we look over 40 years, the first chart I showed was 1926 to present. This is just a 40-year period. Look what's happened. Maria, who invested less, has actually got more wealth than Anna, who waited and invested later on at a larger dollar amount. So this is assuming 8% returns. I talked about 10%. This is a little bit more conservative. We assumed over those 40 years you earned 8% per year in the stock market. So this illustrates the power of you can invest less now and have more money later versus waiting. And it's a powerful example of kind of the time value of money and the compounding effect in investing now versus waiting. And so we highly encourage all of you to start thinking about, taking some of the components that we learn about today and putting those to work as soon as you can.